Good evening and thanks for joining us. A new recreation and cultural services fee policy has been brought to City Council this past Monday for discussion. The proposed policy states that certain recreation rates will increase in price to keep up with inflation and operational cost of facilities while also keeping services affordable for all.
Well, most of the price structure is back to the 2023 budget, where there was some adjustments made in the budget for the cost of providing recreation and trying to recover some of those costs. The city's not trying to make money on recreation, but we do have to adjust for inflation and everything that goes along with it to try and continue to limit the losses that recreation does cost.
Some of the new charges will include a setup and teardown fee, a membership cancellation fee, a recurring membership non-sufficient fee, a museum, and archive exhibit pass, among some others.
Yeah, there's not a lot of increases in there. It is slight increases, but there are some policy changes within the bylaw as far as NSF fees. You know, when you're paying monthly for your membership, and suddenly the money's not there, and there's charges and stuff that go back with that. The other one is they're debating a cancellation fee, so that if you are a yearly subscriber to a membership in Lloyd, that there will be a cancellation fee potentially to cancel your membership.
The Recreation and Cultural Services fee policy will be voted on by Council at a later date. Students at Holy Rosary High School are showing off their hard work through the first annual Synergy Studios Film Festival. The event takes place on Thursday evening, and these students are extremely excited for people to see what they're made of. Our Shelby Clark has more in this week's Beyond the Classroom.
The film festival is a free event for anyone who wants to attend. This will be held in Holy Rosary's library, and students from grade 10 to 12 will be showcasing their work.
I should have my final assignment in the festival. It's a Romeo and Juliet retelling. And then I should have maybe a few short films. One's a silent film, and then maybe my midterm. I'm excited to see my work on like a big screen, and I'm excited to watch it with my friends and all the people that have been a part of the videos, like acting or editing.
Communications media teacher Sky Ferguson had the idea for a film festival so students can show everyone their hard work. Now all their finished projects can be up on the big screen instead of saving it on their Google Drives.
Cody Maz is sponsoring the event, so we're going to have a giant screen, speakers, we're going to have a red carpet, people can dress formal. I have my photography students, they're going to be the paparazzi, so it's going to be kind of like a movie premiere. I envision the kids getting to be their own directors and showcasing their movie, and the actors getting to showcase it.
The hope for Ferguson is to have this festival every year. Students involved have been going above and beyond for their projects with how much time they've been putting in. With the option of producing a film by yourself or collaborating with other students, many projects will be shown at this festival.
All these students put in so much hard work. I think it's super cool that even families or just other people who are very passionate about film and the film industry and movies and just anything, to just come see what their community has to offer and what they've created.
With the generosity from Synergy Studios, these students have the chance to experience their work in real life. The festival will start at 7 p.m. Thursday evening, and popcorn will be available by donation.
It's one thing to make your work, and it's another thing to display your work. It also takes a lot of courage to display your work for people. The second you display it, it's open for critiques and stuff like that. But it's super important, instead of it just sitting on your drive, you get to see it come to life. This also allows them to see the potential in the future to be like, I'm a director, and people actually get to see it. And I can't explain the feeling when somebody watches your video and you hear them laugh or you see them smile, the pride that they're going to feel is going to be unreal.
And that's it in this week's Beyond the Classroom.
With a decade of success under his hat, Brett Kissel is working on his biggest endeavor yet. Jace Mackey has more.
That was Never Have I Ever by my next guest, country music star Brett Kissel. It's his new single, part of his new album that's coming out on January 27th, the Self album. Now that album is part of a much bigger undertaking though, and I think we'll start there. Brett, I'll just give you an opportunity to kind of take us through the Compass project. It's a big, ambitious project that you're taking on. Tell us a little bit about it and why you decided to take on such a big project.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really, really proud of this project. It's 4 full-length albums that are going to come out this year in 2023. Um, I'm really proud of each distinct direction that my internal compass has pointed me to, over the last several years, and not just as an entertainer and an artist, but as a dad, as a husband, as a man. So I'm very, very proud of this record, or these records, because the North album is essentially a greatest hits, celebrating 10 years in the business. So a lot of the songs that you might recognize, like "Drink About Me" or "Make a Life Not a Living," "Airwaves" or "Anthem," are all from a different city that I've performed at, and we have a live version of that. The East album that'll come out later this year is an acoustic record with my tip my hat to the land and how much I love the East Coast and the acoustic side of country music. The South album, it comes out on January 27th, has the heartbeat of Nashville. So that's the album that I think everybody would expect. But the West is something I think a lot of your viewers would really, really appreciate this record, because it's a true country and Western album, very traditional, steel guitar, fiddle, honky tonk piano, some great covers, songs about oil and cattle. So I'm really proud of that record too.
Yeah, I think all of them are going to be hits, but definitely that album will be great out here in Western Canada, Alberta. I want to talk a bit about the Self album because that's the one that's coming out here soon. A lot of singles from 2022 are going to be on that. Our Home, I know Never Have I Ever, which is the most recent one that's doing quite well. Just take us through a little more about that Self album. What you hope people take away from it when they listen to it in a couple days?
Well, I'm really, really excited to see what my fans and obviously your viewers, are going to think of that project, because it really runs the gamut of all great things of country music. So we've got a song called "Watch It" that's out on radio right now that really talks about my family, but it shares that story that every single parent has shared with me over time, and it's that time passes by so quickly. You blink and you miss it. So "Watch It" is a very special song. "Never Have I Ever," on the flip side of things, really talks about the early days of my relationship with my wife, Cecilia, and the parties that we used to have. I remember she and I going to bed at 6 in the morning, whereas now we're parents, so we're waking up at 6 in the morning with our kids. So it's just a really, really fun song. And then it's got a couple of other very important songs with great messages, like "Line in the Sand," or another one called "First Place," which really talks about the ups and downs of relationships. And the lyrics go, "I should have never put her second in the first place." So that's a song I'm really excited to share with the country music world here in a couple of days.
So when we talk a little bit more about this Compass project, it's quite a big undertaking, like we mentioned. So I heard you say it's all going to be coming out this year.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much every quarter, a new record will come out. So the first one, January 27th, the next one, late March. It looks like the next one, kind of late June. And then we will have the final of the 4 albums come out in September. So that way we can end the year off with a bang, and possibly some tour dates are going to be announced around that time too.
I see. Okay. I know a lot of people around here will be excited to hear more about that. Talk to me a little bit about just the work that's going into this. I know you must be just working so hard to make sure that you're putting all of yourself into this. Give each of those albums the distinct kind of feel that you were describing earlier. But to have all this music come out in one year, it's got to be a lot of work for you.
Well, it's a pretty gigantic creative process. There's no denying that. But I was up for the challenge, and I know that my producers were up for the challenge. Bart McKay, who's one of my dear friends and an extraordinary producer from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, he was the driving force behind 2 of the albums, the South album and the West album. And then my really great friend, Justin Cutting and Spencer Cheen, who are 2 of my band members. Justin is my band leader. He took on the North record as well as the East record with Spencer. So they've got an incredible duo there. So it's really great to split up that workload between these extraordinary producers. But at the same time, I did a lot of this work in 2022, and a lot of the songs that I wrote for these albums, well, I've been writing them over years and have finally compiled enough material to make an entire Western inspired album. So it wasn't like I just sat down and decided to write 500 songs and choose my best 10%, my best 40, 50 songs. These are songs that I've had, in the back of my mind or in my memory. I've come up with a creative way to release and, have a great strategy involved with releasing all of this music. And I think really servicing my fans in a way that they've never seen before, or actually in a way that has never been done in country music before. 4 albums in the same year, pretty special.
Yeah, super exciting, Brett. Before we go, I just wanted to ask. I know you're a proud Albertan. You're from this area. Just talk to me a little bit about what it's like to be able to put out these albums, but also have a big have them rooted in this province and representing Alberta. I know Our Home is one example of a song that I think when I listen to it makes me proud of this area, and I think that's kind of something that comes through not even just in your lyrics, but just I know you're always coming back to Edmonton and to this area to perform too. It's means a lot to you.
Well, I really appreciate you saying that. And here's the reality is that I love my home so much. I love my roots. I love all of Canada. There's no denying that. I've got an entire album called the East Album, which is an ode to the Maritime provinces. But the reality here is that in the West, and I'm learning this now and seeing this now firsthand, with my own 2 eyes as as a young dad and a business owner, is that sometimes the rest of the world, or sometimes the rest of Canada, doesn't understand how great we really are. And so it's not about division between the East and the West, between Ottawa and Alberta. It's not about that. It's just about saying the facts. We are a group of amazing people. We work hard for everything we've ever gotten, that anything that we've ever accomplished. The entrepreneurial spirit here in the West is very strong. And I'm so grateful that I grew up in the West, in Alberta, with so many great mentors, also from Saskatchewan. So because of that, I wanted to do an entire record that's dedicated to that work ethic, that's dedicated to the things that we believe in. And so I've got a song called Oil and Cattle that talks about 2 amazing industries out here in the West, as the rest of Canada and a lot of other places around the world are against energy and don't want to eat beef anymore. Okay, if that's your choice, that's your choice. But here where I come from, it's a way of life, and a way of life I'm very proud of.
All right, Brett. Well, thank you so much for taking some time. It was great to meet you, great to talk with you, and I would just wish you the best with everything that's coming up in this next year.
I thank you very much for that.
And now here's our own Stacey Comer speaking with Synergy Credit Union on investments.
I'm happy to be joined today with Thomas Stangowitz, who is an investment advisor with Synergy Credit Union. And Thomas, we have an exciting subject to talk about today, heading into tax season, talking about investments and savings. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Well, Thomas, let's talk about RRSPs. I know this is a common thing. A lot of people have them, but I'll get you to explain just off the top here, what is an RRSP?
Yeah, so what an RRSP is, it stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan. And it's basically, as the name suggests, a vehicle for people to save for their retirement. And so the way it works is you contribute into your RRSP. And as a result of that, you get a tax deduction, which hopefully helps to lower the amount of taxes that you need to pay. Hopefully getting you a tax refund, but at least at the very least, reducing the amount of taxes that are owed to the government. And within that RRSP, you pick and choose from a variety of different investments. So you can either have it just as a savings, like a high interest savings plan. You can have it as a term deposit or a GIC. Or you can have mutual funds, or you can even have individual stocks. And then within that RRSP, your savings will grow tax sheltered over time. And then when it comes time to retire, you withdraw the money from your RRSP. It's 100% taxable in the year that you retire it as income. So the idea behind it is, in your working years, hopefully you're in a higher tax bracket, and in your retirement years, you're in a lower tax bracket, so that you're paying less tax when it comes out than it saved you in the beginning.
So if you're in a position now where you don't have an RRSP, but you'd like to get one, how do you start that process?
Yeah, the easiest way is just to go to your financial institution, hopefully Synergy Credit Union, but if not, whoever you're dealing with, and they'll be able to help you get started.
And are they only for retirement? Is that the only thing RSPs are used for?
The vast majority of people just use them for retirement savings, but they can be used for other things. So if you're deciding to go back to school, some post-secondary education, you can use it to fund that. Or if you're a first-time home buyer, you can withdraw from your RSP to help for the down payment on your house. So there are other options as well.
And what about just in general, the saving for retirement? Are there other investment options that you can look at?
One of the most common ones that we see now, besides RRSPs, is the tax-free savings account, or TFSA. And those are used, people will use both of those, but sometimes it just makes sense for people to use one or the other.
And what is a tax-free savings account? I've heard a lot about that as well. You hear that term, on a lot of commercials and a lot of financial literature. So what exactly is a TFSA?
Yeah, so TFSA is available for anybody over the age of 18, and it there's no deadline, so you don't have to contribute for a certain date or anything like that. But the nice thing about them is that you can put them in similar savings as you do with or similar investments as you do with an RSP. So once again, it can be mutual funds, stocks, etc. You don't get the deduction when it goes into the RSP, or sorry, into the tax-free savings account like you do with an RRSP. But then it grows tax sheltered in there, and then when you go to pull it out, you don't have to pay any tax whatsoever. So that's really the beauty of the tax-free savings account.
And is that the main difference then between that and an RRSP, or are there other differences?
No, that's the main difference is this the tax treatment really. So RSPs, you get that tax break going in, but have to pay tax coming out. TFSA, no tax break going in, no tax coming out.
Thomas, how do I know what type of investment is right for me, or anybody who's looking? It's very confusing for people who are not financially literate. I happen to be one of those people. So how do you know what's right for you?
So I always recommend, talk to an advisor, because like I said earlier, you know, sometimes it makes sense for people to take advantage of both the RRSPs and the tax-free savings accounts. Sometimes for certain people, it doesn't make sense to do RSPs at all. So talk to your advisor and they'll be able to tell you, what makes the most sense for you at this stage of your life.
So when it comes to RSPs and TFSAs, is there anything else we should know, like contribution limits and deadlines for when they can be considered for your tax year, that sort of thing? Do you have that information?
Yeah, so we are we're getting closer and closer to the tax deadline to contribute, which is March 1st. So you have to contribute into your RSP by March 1st if you want to take advantage of that tax deduction for the 2022 tax year. As I said earlier, there's no deadline for the TFSAs. They have increased the contribution limit for this year, so it is now $6,500. As long as you're over the age of 18, you can take advantage of that. And if you haven't taken advantage of a tax-free savings account yet, and you were over the age of 18 when the program started on January 1st, 2009, you would have a cumulative total of $88,000 of contribution room that you can take advantage of.
So what if you are a little bit late starting at contributing to this? Like if you're in, your 30s, or excuse me, into your 40s, is it too late to start contributing?
It's never too late. I mean, ideally, the sooner the better. If we can get into that habit of when we're younger, even just putting aside $25 a month, $50 a month, whatever it is, just to get started and get used to that habit. But we can't turn back the clock. So get started as soon as you can. It's never too late, but the sooner the better for sure.
All right, Thomas. Well, thank you for joining me today. And one last thing, there is a workshop coming up for people who would like to get more information on all of this. So where and when is that, and how do people get more information?
Yeah, so we're excited to be hosting a financial planning seminar and workshop on January 21st. And so it's basically we're teaming with MNP as well as Revering Law Office, and we are going to be putting on like I said, a workshop that will help you to basically will help develop a retirement plan for you. And so we'll be giving you advice whether you are planning for retirement or whether you're already in retirement. Free workshop, and you can find out the best ways to make sure if you're on course to hit retirement, or the best ways to make sure your money's going to last you through retirement. January 21st, you can sign up on Synergy Credit Union's website through the Wealth tab. It's available to the public, so whether you're a member of the credit union or a non-member, you're free to join us. Seating is limited though, so I would urge you to sign up now.
All right, Thomas. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Into sports news, when you think about players being recruited to play basketball in Alberta, a lot of times their hometown is either Alberta itself or somewhere within the country. But one player on the Lakeland Rustlers men's basketball team in his first season with the club, playing over 2,800 kilometers away from his hometown, and is looking to make a positive impact with his new team. It's not often that an athlete comes from the United States to play basketball in Alberta, let alone Lloydminster. But for 24-year-old Johnny Mims, he decided otherwise, traveling over 2,800 kilometers from Los Angeles, California.
I honestly never even thought I'd be out the country. I had goals and aspirations of playing overseas, but I would have never thought at this age I'd be out the country and playing basketball at a college. So even just doing that was a whole different experience.
For Mims, he never owned a passport prior to joining the Rustlers, but when he realized the opportunity he would have to play for a coach like Sherry Thomas, who most notably played 4 seasons with the University of Kentucky Wildcats, the opportunity was too good to turn down.
One of the things I haven't really had with coaches is them having like something to stand on with their basketball career. A lot of times they may have played high school or just college, but being able to not only be at a top college and then go pro at a high level is something that caught me right away. And then definitely his personality and talking to him and getting to know him as a man let me know that I could play for him.
When you move far away from home, it can be a concern at first, especially when you move to another country. But when Mims explained the opportunity to play at Lakeland College to his mother, Terry, she loved the idea.
I've always told him, I am not a risk taker. I want you to take risks. I want you to take chances, follow your dream. So I was all for it. I was really excited.
Mims played 2 years of junior college basketball at Cypress College prior to joining the Green and Gold. But due to issues both personal and basketball related, there were doubts from Mims himself if he would continue playing the game.
Last year, right before the coach contacted him in Canada, he was going through kind of a lull in basketball, and didn't know whether he would continue that journey, to be honest. But, his opportunity came to play in Canada.
And Mims is making the most out of his opportunity, leading the team with 18 points per game and shooting 43% from beyond the arc, something that Sherry Thomas has been very pleased with.
I'm glad that his game is paying dividends for us. Like I said, he's had some huge games for us, just shooting the ball, even going to the hole, which was kind of surprising to me. As a coach, I thought, with his size, he'd probably just be kind of a step back shooter, be kind of quick, but he's really going to the hole strong, finishing there, making the right plays, hitting shots.
For the 24-year-old, he's enjoyed his time so far with the Rustlers. But with the confidence that he has in the team around him, he's got high expectations for what they can do.
We got a talented coach. We got talented players, transfers coming in. So I know what I can bring to the table, plus what we got around me, it shouldn't even be a question. We can definitely win the national championship.
Adil Ahmed, Primetime, Local Sports.